Stop risking so much. Win with a system. It's all about using leverage the right way. Let's dive in and understand how to multiply Bitcoin for life. And the critical thing here, the reason why we're doing this is to show the tools that we use to do just that. Now, this could be through art on Bitcoin, which is one of my favorite ways. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is using something that people like to call yield. Well, Bitcoin doesn't have any yield, so that is mostly a scam. You're introducing yourself to third party risk. You yourself can just leverage Bitcoin in your own way, adding more leverage to it by buying tokens on Bitcoin or adding more leverage to it by purchasing art on Bitcoin. That's already leverage enough. But at the same time, I'm showing you some charts with leverage trading entries. It does work. Join us in Blends Group. This is a place where you can actually learn the systems that can take your business, your excess capital to the next level with a repeatable and predictable strategy. I'm not a huge fan of setting stop losses for this purpose because you end up getting stopped out by a quarter of a percentage, and it's still a great trade. A down move with some equally strong or somewhere near the strength vector pushing price back out. So really, of course, the trade should have been down here. But I left it wide open to show why I don't particularly like setting limit orders for leverage trading, because you end up getting stopped out by a tiny bit. And if you just left a huge stop loss, which I was thinking to leave down all the way to this level here, where the order would be, it would just skew my trade too much. Like, so if you look here, it's a 1.63 to 1 risk to reward. That's not great. We were looking for 3 to 1, and this is like, that's 2.8. That's decent. I did get the retest. So I believe this is the weak trend is to the upside. 3 to 1 trade on this one here. I moved the stop loss quite a bit down because, let me go to this side and go to the 1 minute chart. I know that's crazy to go to the 1 minute chart, but it's not necessarily, because I'm looking for vector candles, which is market maker activity typically. And on this move right here, we see a large vector on the 1 minute to this point. I've got this stop loss set down here, which is actually set a little bit lower, even down here, just in case. So it's a pretty wide stop loss, this one here. I could possibly move it up higher to here and here. But once we start to move out and I feel confident that we're actually moving out, then I'll start to tighten my stop loss up here. And even if it gets stopped out later, at least it'll get stopped out in profit. Join Blends Group and get the full system. Move beyond retail trading. Now, of course, the CoinWins system uses various indicators in conjunction. And the ideas are very simple, but they are also perfectly in line with market maker activity. Of course, we want to trade with the market maker. We do not want to predict movements, and we do not necessarily want to create our own interpretation of the chart. There's room for error, yes, but we find specific levels. We use open interest to understand where there's leverage. We find levels to see exactly where price has gone in the past. We use these EMAs to find out where price is moving in a dynamic sense in terms of support and resistance. And of course, we do trade within the market maker sessions. So the market pulse, this will let you know, well, look at the current price. It'll tell you just by looking at the color of it, it's gray. And it's saying that it's just the Asia session, just early Asia range building. Watch for initial highs and lows. That's what we want. We want to find the initial high and the low of the day in this Asia range. Okay. So if we put on these session times, well, we don't need them because you know that the backgrounds are fully labeled with colors. So this is Asia's caution zone. This is UK's caution zone, and this is US open, which is typically where we find good entries. The best entries, I think, for trending markets would be catching the Asia trade, pre-Asia. So let me turn these on. So the best entries are between Asia to UK, and then between UK and US. The markets could pump over the weekend. It's clearly, it happens. You can see it here. That's Saturday. Saturday from here all the way down here, essentially, is Saturday, right there. Saturday, 1 o'clock in the morning. That's Asia time. Asia trended. When you see Asia trending, you probably want to get out, unless you caught the trend. Okay. Asia trending is not the thing. This is the point. Asia brings the initial high and low of the day in a 2% range typically. And if you go through the course, trade timeframes, you should be able to see that Asia trades in a range. And when there's odd behavior, it's oftentimes better to sit out. Asia trended and then UK trended as well. It's kind of a strange behavior. And then US went crazy on Saturday too. It happens. But if we're day trading, we just stick to the plan and we follow the entries. So for long or short, you could use a long short. So I think we're going long. So here's the tool. You can calculate your risk to reward just like this. So you'll see RR, I guess is reward to risk because we want a 3-to-1 minimum reward to risk. It's 3-to-1. So that's a 4-to-1. That's a 2-to-1. That's a 4. So we want at least a 3-to-1. Okay. And some of the areas that you can actually target certain things like the high of the week. Yeah, you may want to take profits a little before. That's the how. You're risking 1 and you're possibly gaining 4.46. And that's it. We risk 1% of our trading account. That's the best way. Of course, you could risk more. I would actually go as far as to say if you're going to risk more in a trade, the best times to, generally speaking, or to enter a trade are US and Asia to UK. You'll likely be able to catch some type of trend move. Okay. And we can sometimes just target levels on the chart. We don't necessarily have to target liquidity levels or anything. Sometimes you can just target, in this case, let's say the high of the day. And we have our stop loss down here. That's already a 4.4-to-1 risk to reward as an example, right? Price will likely come down here at some point in time, all the way back here. It could be the weekend. I don't know. So this is why day trading, this is zoomed in on the chart. It's not 4 hours. All we need is 1% or 2% at a 10x leverage and a good stop loss, not a tight stop loss. That is another myth about day trading. A tight stop loss is perfect for getting you wrecked. What you need is to find levels on the chart that have been left behind through active control manipulation. It's not a negative, right? So like this, for example, this level down here could likely be met again. Price could just come all the way back here somehow and then still leave this area open. I could mark this out as trapped traders because these are traders that are trapped. This is a super small time frame. So let me go to the 1 hour at least and see how big this wick is. So on the 1 hour, there are trapped traders up here, which is pretty strong. Let's go to the 4 hour and let's see if that section is even bigger. I think it is because we had so many vector candles up. Yeah. So the 4 hour has a lot of trap traders. Price will likely come into this area. So I don't really like for day trades to lock out these 4 hour areas where there's trapped liquidity. I don't particularly like to mark it out too early in the week. I feel like after some days, the market has gone on and we feel that we're totally like way above this level. I'm gonna zoom out as a quick example. If price did this and came up here and then went up here and then started to retest above here, then I would feel comfortable locking this whole area out as trap traders. But as you can see on the 15-minute, there's still vector activity. And so I would more rely on the 1 day because you see this is a huge vector here. Price could likely come right back to the center of this vector. So we want to look for the top of a vector, the bottom of vectors, and the center of vectors. That's why you see, for example, price right now is dancing right at the center of the vector. Okay. So we could very well see price come back down to the center of this vector, which totally lines up with this vector right down the center. So there's a lot of market maker activity in this range. So we want to watch the center, the top, the middle, and the bottom, any one of them or all of them. As you see, price came right to the bottom and moved out. Then it kept building a base around the center of this vector, as you clearly see. That's the way to do it. You use your long and short tools. Okay, you can find them in this section here, the projections. Here's a couple of things. You can use CoinWins for a lot of things. You know, your market maker session times, your EMA lines, which are critical. You can get it's like 6 EMAs. Okay, they're all here. These are the top EMAs you would want. And then you'd have to have the open interest indicator on, which is down here, showing you how much leverage is in the market. And then you also have your levels, which are your initial high of the day and things like that. That's a custom tool. It gives us actual factual information on the chart. It's the highest level that the price went at this period in time, yesterday's trading time, the lowest level price went yesterday's trading time. This will give you a breakdown of what these tools all do. It's a combination of them. First of all, there's also the candles, the colored candles, which is built in to the app. Strong volume in the cyan and coral, and the muted colors are a little less volume, but nonetheless, when you see a muted color like this muted coral or this muted cyan, it's still higher volume than the previous average of the previous 10 candles. But then there are also one, two, three, four, five core indicators. So the one, of course, the PVSRA vector candles is one, market maker sessions two, EMAs three. So there's the market maker sessions, but it's also baked in. You can't remove these colors. So if I turned all these off, I still have a lot of information here. I still have the ability to see how strong the vectors are, the candles. So these coral areas are to show you where not to trade, typically, not to open a trade. Anyway, this shows you where not to trade because oftentimes, again, this is UK. And then right here, this is also one of the best trades. That's why it is in cyan. Okay. And of course, I always recommend everybody go and check the market pulse. It will tell you what's going on. It's not a guarantee. It's the highest likelihood that it's happening right now. So Asia session is active. It's gray. Don't expect anything major here. Typically, we're looking for a range to get the highest and lowest price of the day. The initial high and low of the day. Done. Nothing more, nothing less. And your levels are again those high and low of the day. So this is the initial high and low of the day. Sometimes it comes in the gap before Asia. And so far, this is the highest price, the initial highest high of the day for now. So this could be the range that Asia trades in before UK opens here. Literally, price could just go up and down. It could just go to the bottom, mess around, and slowly move up right back to the middle. Done. 50% Asia. But if price is moving and it bounces with a vector off of 50% Asia, let's say it goes up here and then it has a vector down or a vector up, then 50% Asia would be roughly the bottom for now. And UK would be here. And price could spike down and suddenly it bounces around the 50 EMA. And then that means UK would be taking Asia's liquidity to the top side. Or if price rejected off the 50% Asia and started to go down, then when UK opens, we can anticipate a little fake move up and then price starts to go below the initial low of the day. So this is almost essentially every day. Asia will build the range and UK will go either take the liquidity up or take the liquidity down. And then US will typically reverse the trade from UK. The best way to use it is to look at the times, do the course, watch this market pulse to see what it's suggesting you watch out for. Plan your move, definitely trade the Asia to UK session. And then sometimes you can flip and reverse the opposite direction and jump into US. Or sometimes you just hold the UK move because maybe the UK move pops up, comes back down, and then when UKS opens, it drops down, but not too low and keeps going up. So down here, this was Monday. We had a down trade, a day trade down. So as you see, this is all of Monday, essentially, all down. I believe so far that the trend for the week is up. Join us in Blend's group and understand how to multiply Bitcoin for life.